My coach called me a quitter in front of the whole team. I was hiding a tumor diagnosis I got that morning. Coach Braddock stood in the middle of the field, clipboard in hand, staring directly at me. I had just stopped running the drill early, my vision swimming, cold sweat breaking across my forehead. The medical form from Dr. Carver was still folded in my gym bag. The words, "immediate surgery recommended," burning a hole through the fabric. My legs felt like they were filled with sand, and I knew I shouldn't even be standing on this field, but I couldn't stay away. Not today. I was supposed to be having the best season of my life. Senior year, scouts coming to watch, a real shot at a Division I scholarship. That morning, I went in for what I thought was routine blood work to explain why I'd been so exhausted. Dr. Carver sat me down in his office at 8:15 a.m. and told me they found a tumor pressing against my kidney. He said I needed to stop all physical activity immediately and schedule surgery within the week. I asked if I could have one more practice. He looked at me like I'd lost my mind. I showed up anyway because I needed to feel normal for one more afternoon before everything changed. Coach Braddock had been riding me for weeks, convinced my performance was slipping because I wasn't trying hard enough. When I stopped mid-drill, he jogged over with that look on his face, the one that meant someone was about to get destroyed. "What's the problem, Mitchell? You think you can coast through senior year?" I told him I just needed a minute. He shook his head and pointed back at the drill line. I tried to jog back, but my body wasn't cooperating. The second drill was a sprint ladder. I made it through 2 sets before I had to stop again, hands on my knees, trying not to pass out. Coach blew his whistle so hard the sound cut through my skull. The whole team froze. He walked toward me, getting louder with every step. The team gathered behind him, 30 sets of eyes watching me unravel. "This is what happens when you let success get to your head," he announced, loud enough for the parents in the parking lot to hear. "You start thinking you're too good to work, too special to sweat." I tried to tell him something was wrong. He laughed, actually laughed, and turned to face the entire team. "You know what this kid is? A quitter. Nothing but a quitter." I could hear phones clicking from the sideline. Parents were recording. Someone's mom had her camera pointed directly at us. None of them knew what was really happening. Neither did he. My best friend Damon stepped forward. Coach Braddock spun on him with a finger in his face, and Damon went silent. Coach turned back to me, pointing at the bleachers. "Run them, every row, and if you stop before I say stop, you're done. Not just today, but for good." I looked at the bleachers. 42 rows of concrete steps stretching toward the press box. My head was pounding. My vision kept blurring at the edges. I should have walked away, should have told him the truth. Instead, I started climbing. I made it to row 15 before my legs buckled completely. I tried to catch the railing, but my hands wouldn't cooperate. My shoulder slammed into metal, and I rolled down 3 rows before stopping face up on the concrete. When I opened my eyes, Damon was kneeling over me, his face pale. Coach Braddock was sprinting up the bleachers, suddenly looking terrified. I reached into my pocket and pulled out the folded paper I'd been carrying all day, the one from Dr. Carver's office with the hospital letterhead and the diagnosis that changed everything. I held it up and watched Coach take it with shaking hands. His face transformed, confusion, then realization, then something that looked exactly like fear. "I got that this morning," I said. My voice sounded far away. I shouldn't even be here, but I wanted one more practice before surgery. He stared at the diagnosis like it might bite him. Behind him, players gathered, reading over his shoulder. For the first time in 4 years, Coach Braddock had absolutely nothing to say. He stood frozen while sirens wailed in the distance. Someone had already called 911. The paper trembled in his hands as parents rushed onto the field, phones still recording. One mother pushed past him to reach me, her face twisted with fury. The athletic director arrived before the ambulance did, took one look at the chaos, and pulled Coach aside with a grip that meant business. I lay on those bleachers watching my teammates' faces shift from confusion to horror to something like rage, not at me, but at the man who had just humiliated a kid with a tumor pressing against his kidney. The ambulance took me to St. Joseph's, where I had surgery 3 days later. Coach Braddock was terminated before I left recovery. The video a parent recorded hit 4 million views, and 15 families pulled their kids from the program that same week.